Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Today I'm joined by my good friend Patrick Corsino. Now Patrick scaled multiple different businesses in multiple different industries, ranging from e-commerce to cryptocurrency to personal branding. He's going to tell you guys a bit more about that. But before we get into the rest of the interview, Patrick, how's it going? Welcome to the channel, bro.
Yep. Thank you for having me. Everything's going great here. How are you?
I'm doing good. How's your quarantine over there? I know you left New York, so
Yeah, I left New York to come to Atlanta for a little bit, get some open space, instead of being like cramped up in a little New York apartment.
yeah, I'm sure
Chilling
it's
a
probably
little bit nicer,
a bit
nicer
better
area.
to be over there than it is to be over here. But before we get into the rest of the interview, I mean, do you want to just start out and tell people a bit more about you and what you do currently?
Yeah, so we'll go into more detail in just a sec. But like you said, I started a couple of different online businesses. All of them are online. I've scaled each one past six-figure mark. I built a team around them so that most of them are automated, which all they need me for is really just content-wise if I need to be there, or of course like scaling, helping with the marketing, all that stuff, the CEO position, I guess. But for the most part, a lot of the day-to-day stuff is fairly automated.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I've built an investment portfolio as we went through. Spent a lot of time studying people that have been very successful. That's one thing I do want to talk more about today as well, studying people that have gone to the positions I want to get to. So I'm making sure, I put money in the right places and all that stuff from there.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's awesome. And I know obviously that's a bit about what you do. I mean, do you want to touch a bit more kind of like on your story, where you come from and what your journey's been like to get you from where you were when you started out to where you are today?
Yeah, so I was born in Brazil. I was there till I was 3. We went from Brazil to Michigan in the US. Then we went to Hong Kong, Belgium, and then I came back here for college. So I graduated high school in Belgium and I came here for college. I went in as an engineer, didn't know what I wanted to do. My dad did engineering, seemed to work out pretty well for a lot of people that I knew that did engineering. So I was like, hey, looks like it pays well. I might as well do engineering as well. So
Mm.
hopped into that really quick, realized, nope, this is not fun. Don't like this. I was never a big fan of school anyways. If you look back like my high school, I was never a big fan of school.
Mhm.
But I went into college, realized that wasn't what I wanted to do. So started my first business. I Googled online a bunch of different things, how to make money online. I found out e-commerce / Amazon FBA. The combo of, running both an Amazon FBA, then taking it off platform was something that really interested me because everything was moving online. So in order to fund to buy products, I worked as a waiter in a Brazilian restaurant as well. I was Brazilian. There was one Brazilian restaurant. So I worked at the Brazilian restaurant as a waiter, saved up money, would invest in the business, started making content, started building a personal brand, a very small personal brand back then, started being an affiliate for products, quickly realized how profitable that was as well. So I scaled that, took that very seriously, scaled that into also what ended up being another six-figure business. But at the time it wasn't, but it allowed me to just stop showing up to my waiter job. So that's kind of how I quit.
Yeah.
I just stopped showing up. And then from there, I just got bored during class. So I taught myself how to day trade cryptocurrencies because they were profitable. Moved on to like continuing to scale a personal brand in different industries and stuff. And then started having my own information products, creating memberships, all those. Yeah, then now we're here.
Yeah, awesome. And I know that, so it sounds like in your journey, you started out with like a stable income that you're able to invest into your different businesses. I know that, as we both probably know, it's possible to kind of bootstrap things with actually no money. Sometimes you can use a bit of money to speed things up, but what do you usually recommend to people that are starting out? Do you think it makes sense to have a stable income that you can invest into a business, or do you think it doesn't really make too much of a difference?
It I'd say it depends on the person. So I would never recommend a full-time job while then starting your business at night. I
Mhm.
think if you're going to go for the business route, I would say business during the day, your business during the day, and then at night you can have a part-time thing. To me, it was just I didn't have a lot of money starting out, so I needed something to be able to order products. And I also realized that money lets you do things faster,
Mm.
right? So I had the humility to go be like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to humble myself down, go get a job, even though it doesn't look great on paper,
Yeah.
but it's going to allow me to make more money, which means I can grow everything a lot faster. And if you look back, I think it worked out. Like I said, I've grown multiple different businesses and I've applied that into each one. I keep reinvesting. And if, I needed money in the beginning, I worked a part-time job.
Yeah, that makes sense. So tell us a bit more about what your day-to-day looks like currently, maybe how it looked like when you were starting out and kind of how it's transitioned to the position you're in today.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of routines. So you and I talked a little bit about this. Big fan of routines, especially when it comes to morning and night routines. During the day can be a little bit hectic and more difficult to plan out.
Mhm.
But I do start every morning with some cardio. I wake up around the same time every day, do some cardio, try and get a workout in,
Mm.
take a cold shower. And then after that's when I start looking at my phone, start seeing what's up on messages, how
Yeah.
the team's doing, start working on each different business, seeing what needs to be done. Usually, if it's a content day, I'll sit down and make some content for like 4 hours and then send that off to the team to be able to polish up and do the post production,
Yeah.
have lunch in the middle of the day, and then usually some meetings, calls, trying to work on my book as well. Just and then towards the end of the day, I kind of decompress, getting off. Again, the time I stop working differs, but usually
Yeah.
like 9ish, I'd say, because
Mhm.
I don't work anymore. I'm just kind of on my phone in case anybody needs anything last minute. But start to cool down, watch some TV with a fiance, and then plan the next day so I have everything scheduled out.
Nice. Yeah. And can you tell us a bit more about maybe what your kind of structure looked like when you were starting out, or maybe lack thereof?
Oh yeah, I mean none. I was in
Yeah.
college, so I tried my best to keep a structure, but it was really just like trying to show up to class if I showed up that day. Just not something I'm proud of necessarily, but I was focusing on business. So like I couldn't.
Yeah.
Sometimes that had to come first over class, but trying to like run from class to back to like my apartment to try and get everything done, like
Mhm.
trying to kick my friend out of the apartment for a few hours so I could record content. Like it was hectic.
No, yeah, that sounds funny. So I think one thing that we kind of touched on a bit like yesterday when we were having a conversation off camera was one of the things that you implemented recently that you felt really helped your productivity. And just to share kind of what that was for me, recently I picked up a safe actually recommended by our friend Brad. And it's kind of helped me a lot, really eliminate distractions. And when I'm doing my deep focused work, like in the mornings and in the afternoons before I hop on calls and sales calls and things like that, I have my phone locked in the safe. So that's been something that's really probably 10x my productivity in the last couple of weeks. So yeah, do you want to share what that thing was for you?
Yeah, so I'm big on testing. I test everything. Like I've tested most different like productivity hacks. Most of the ones people have like seen or thought of, I've tried to figure out what works for me. So recently, in the last like I think 5 days ago, I just cold turkey cut out caffeine,
Mhm.
and I was doing a lot of research on like the science behind it, the health benefits, and if people watching this are interested, I highly recommend looking it up. Just because it was a big shocker to me to find out what really happens to your body when you get caffeine, not just like what one or two reports say or what your parents tell you or whatever it is, but finding out what it really does to your body. And I just didn't like it. So I cold turkey cut it. Sucked the first few days. First day, massive headache. Second day, my whole body ached. Like it was if I like did a bunch of cardio the day before, which I
Mhm.
didn't, but like as if I did a huge amount of cardio the day before and I
Uh-huh.
was just dead. Third day started feeling really good and my sleep improved tremendously. My mood, like everything's just gone up. So I've been really happy with that one.
Nice. Yeah. I think it's all about kind of looking for like little things that can give you that slight edge. And it's like when you start stacking those 1% wins over time, that actually helps you get like the productivity you want, build the business you want. Like, I guess as we both kind of realize, like it definitely takes time. It's about stacking the small wins repeatedly, like over time and
For
actually
sure.
building the right habits, right? Cause like it's really cool to do something for, like 1 day or 2 days or plan out your day. But it's like you see most of the benefit when you do that for 30, 60, 90 days, 6 months, a year. So I completely agree with
Yeah.
that.
Um, I mean, yeah, very well said. Like I said, I've tested most things out. Not everything's for every person, so you're gonna hear a lot of different things. You see, like this successful person does this, but this other guy does this. One guy works out in the morning, one
Yep.
guy works out at night. Like it's very different for different people, and that's
Yep.
totally okay. Just take the time to find out what works for you,
Mhm.
and then you'll have something set that you can use for the rest of your life. That's gonna improve not only your productivity, but your mood and your relationships. Everything goes up because you developed the right habits for yourself.
Yeah, I completely agree. And on that note, this is something that I kind of not really, I would say, used to struggle with, but like a misconception that I had. I used to think that if you wanted to like model someone or study someone who's successful, you had to do everything the way they were doing it. Meaning that like if I was meditating for 10 minutes a day and they're meditating for 15, it's like, oh, that's why they're getting all these results because they're meditating an extra 5 minutes a day. And like looking at it that like narrowed in, which looking back sounds kind of stupid, but that's kind of the mindset I was in. I was like, oh, this is the order he does his routines in. So therefore I have to do mine. And it's like that could work if that's the thing that's working for you, but I think it's also about studying the specific things that like drive results. So it's like maybe that person is, using or has a certain level of sales experience or done content consistently for a long period of time that's helped them build their business. And it's not necessarily the fact that they were meditating an extra 5 minutes a day. So that's something I used to struggle with, which is kind of funny
All
looking
right, I
back.
do the same thing with the whole like trying to wake up at like 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. Like you see a lot of the articles with top CEOs wake up at like 5 a.m. But a lot of people don't see the behind the scenes. Like the reason people in the US the reason Jeff Bezos wakes up at 5 a.m. is because he's got to talk to like China, which is a different time zone. That's why he's forced to wake up at 5 a.m. It's not he does it necessarily, like, it might become a habit now, but
Sure.
a lot of these things come from what your schedule looks like. And so
Yep.
depending on the person, like, adjust that accordingly. I don't have to wake up at 4 or 5 a.m. So I don't do it. I wake up at regular time between like 7 and 8 a.m.
Yep.
But I still manage to get a bunch done.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's probably what's more important anyway, just actually what you're getting done. So I know you touched on a bit briefly before, like your team. So do you want to share more about kind of what your team looks like now, maybe how that transitioned from when you started and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I think very, very important. Start building your team as fast as you can. Like before you start spending money on jewelry, watches, cars, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like all those things are great. I love them all. They have their place and time. But I think if you really want to scale, scaling comes from building a team, having people that can help you, the right people around you. So I like to take my time to find the right people. And then if it's not a good fit, I also don't take a lot of time to let them go. I think it's more beneficial for them if they're put in a position where they can thrive versus staying here and trying to force something that's not there.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so I started my team again back when I was in college. I started mostly around content. It was the first few bits, like post-production stuff, because that's what I really needed help with, because I had to try to go to class, try and get homework done.
Mhm.
So I try to make sure I could have people that could help me in that area. And then from there, it just went from like customer service, community managers, people that help now, and like, yeah, content still, obviously,
Yeah.
I'm still investing a lot of money into building a team around content,
Mhm.
which I think is very important. But the more you build your team, the faster you're going to be able to scale.
Mm, yeah, well said. And in terms of all that, like I know obviously like and now there's a bigger scale, there's a lot more team members, there's a lot going on. But outside of all that, I mean, if you were just starting out again today, but you still had the knowledge that you have today, like what are the first initial steps and actions you would start taking to build yourself some momentum?
So I mean, I'm big on like the Gary V model, like make content. That's huge. I think anybody who says differently nowadays, a lot of people have missed opportunities because they don't do this, and a lot of companies miss out on opportunities because of this. A lot of executives miss out on opportunities because they just don't have their personal brand. Like their personal brand is your resume nowadays, and it's free to make. You don't need to put money into advertising if you don't have money to put into advertising. If you do, it's a different story. But I would start putting out content on something I know that I can talk about well, that I like, and start developing a personal brand. Then if I have the knowledge to build my own products from that, that could be an idea. If I could build a company that then I can back with my personal brand. Like again, Gary Vee has a media company.
Yeah.
He has his personal brand that kind of fuels a lot of the clients that come into that now, to show that, look, I was able to do this for myself. I know what I'm doing. So here's my company.
Right.
Right. You can kind of build that link, or if you're a beginner, you can be an affiliate to products that somebody else has that you can drive traffic to with your personal brand. That way you don't have to take care of customer service. All that stuff's really easy. So yeah, starting from zero, it would be start making content, consume a little less content, start making some more content, start putting yourself out there, start getting a little bit of traffic, helping people out, and then the opportunities that come from that are endless.
Yeah, I agree. And were there certain platforms you would focus on in the beginning, or would you say it depends on the niche, or what's your thoughts on that?
I'd say, I mean, not really depending on the niche. I think everybody should be platform like YouTube is a search engine. So
Mhm.
that's great to just have people find your videos because they're searching for something. Then you look at like Instagram and TikTok. Those two are I mean, TikTok specifically, if you're able to find platforms that are new and that a lot of traffic is being, a lot of people are getting a lot of views on, TikTok's a huge platform for people to get started on. The person who is able to find the right way to do it for entrepreneurs, I guess, or for business, or for like the motivational space, it's going to make a killing. All the dance videos are doing well, but it always starts with one thing.
Yeah.
Like every social platform starts being known for one thing, and then it just shifts. If it manages to stay for a long period of time, it shifts into everybody starts to join with their own personality and stuff. So the person who's able to find out how to do it right on that platform is going to make a killing.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I've seen even myself, like guys like Gary Vee and others transitioning there. So obviously it's like if they're doing it, there probably is something to said about someone else that's
Yeah.
looking to actually get content reaching people. Because again, the organic reach is just so high on those platforms compared to, let's say, YouTube or Instagram. Although, yeah, as we both agree, like those are still important platforms to be on, but the organic reach just isn't really what it used to be, unfortunately. So
I mean, it's just being honest. Gary Vee's on a 32 people a person team, right?
yeah,
If he's on TikTok, he knows what he's doing.
yeah,
Like at that point, like it's not rocket science. See what he's doing to get attention, and you can do it on a micro scale. Since we're not at his level, yeah, we can do it on the micro scale first,
right.
but the process is the same. The game is the same.
Yeah, until you get that traction, then obviously like reinvest into building the team up, and then But in the beginning, I guess what you're saying is like when you're starting out, you don't need to have like a fancy team or like do content at that level. You just need to get your initial momentum, get the ball rolling, and then once you actually get some traction, then you can reinvest into growing it even faster. So
Yeah, I mean, if I started while doing electrical engineering, like it's possible to do it by yourself.
true. Um, so one thing I'm curious about is what would you say separates you, let's say, with all the things you've been able to accomplish versus someone else maybe who doesn't achieve that same level of success?
I think what we touched on a little bit, like the 1% better every day. I don't necessarily like I don't really like the quote 1% better every day, but the point to me is just every single day I try to improve myself. I try to build better habits, and during this quarantine, I improve a ton of my habits. I'm trying to read more than I did before. Making sure my schedule stays the same, working out, like getting work done. Been very productive, which has been nice. But I think the main focus is every single day, like what can you do to improve? It's totally okay that right now people aren't perfect. And a lot of people see like the different models of success and they're like, damn, well, I don't have that habit. That guy didn't have that habit either when he was starting out. The point is, every single step, he's always tried to improve himself to get to that level. And if people don't do that, then they're always going to get stuck trying to wait for them to be perfect before they can do something. While in reality, it's just slow pieces every single day.
Yeah, well said. And it's funny because a lot of the friends I have now, a lot of the people that I communicate with have all been saying that like this quarantine has made them very productive due to kind of what's going on in the world. I mean, obviously it's an unfortunate circumstance, but with everything going on, it's like you still have control over the things that you choose to do within your day. So it's like even for me, I know it's been one of the more productive periods in my life. And I know for a lot of people like around me as well. So it's a little odd when I hear, of other people, let's say, who are just watching Netflix or playing video games all day. It's like this is a golden opportunity to focus on
Yeah.
building up that business or starting getting content out there or whatever that thing is you want to work on. But it's like I feel like a lot of people aren't really properly taking advantage of it.
Yeah. I mean, there's no excuses now. Like you're stuck at home
Yeah.
doing nothing. There's no excuses.
Yeah. So one of my last questions is everyone might see kind of like all the success and all the accolades you've been able to build up for yourself, but what's maybe one part of your journey that you would consider like the lowest point that a lot of people haven't really been able to see?
Man, so I think one that comes to my head a lot was I had a lot of fights with family because of the route that I was trying to take, especially during college. I wanted to drop out early. Parents didn't want that. We had a lot of fights, periods of times where we just wouldn't talk to each other.
Mhm.
And we're Brazilians, like we're very close family. Like everybody talks all the time.
Yeah.
But there was just like a few months where just we wouldn't talk. I wouldn't pick up the phone. I'd see it ring, wouldn't pick up the phone, and it sucked, right? Like you obviously like it makes you emotional about that. Like it was a terrible time, but I knew that this is what I wanted to do. And to me, the thing is, and I noticed a lot of people struggle with, I would rather, and at the time I figured out I would rather hurt the relationship for a couple of months and then after that things will be fine than always trying to please other people, but at the end resent the people that I was pleasing the whole time. So
Mhm.
I would rather take the hit early and then from there, like now our relationship's fine. Everything's great. Like I see them all the time, talk all the time. Everything's great. But I'd say more definitely one of the lowest points was not being in that, like fighting all the time, not talking was definitely one of the lowest points.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I guess it's kind of like about, I mean, with a lot of other areas as well, like taking that one step back to evaluate what you want to do so that you can take two steps forward and then ultimately have the relationship you want with family while also having like the business and the career and the lifestyle that you want. Whereas a lot of people would just maybe consciously or unconsciously people please the people, try to please the people around them at the expense of their own kind of situation. And then it's like subtly resent those people, even though like they didn't really make them do those things. Like you choose to do what you do. So I don't know. I think that's
Yeah.
something that a lot of people can take value from because I think it's important that you kind of prioritize yourself and what you want to do. And then all the other things will kind of fall into place after that. And you can always mend and kind of fix those relationships as well, which is something that I've kind of struggled with in the past with family and friends. It's like balancing doing what I wanted to do with also like trying not to, let's say, hurt anyone's feelings or kind of hurt any people too much, maybe like old friends from the past or things like that who didn't fully support or fully understand what you were trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, currently now, I mean, after going through that, it's like to me the mentality is I really don't give a fuck what everybody else thinks. Like I'm gonna do what I do, and then those around me will be around me. Those who aren't gonna be around me. Like I'm not gonna pick up the phone in the future though. When things work out and I start getting phone calls, I'm not picking up the phone.
Yeah, those are some interesting calls and messages to get. I guess I'm sure it's happened to you. It happens to me from time to time as well. It's interesting when that happens, but uh,
All of a sudden you get like, oh, I knew you would do it. What you
uh,
mean you knew I was gonna do it? Like
that's my
you
favorite
were
one.
against it the whole time.
That's my favorite one. Before we wrap up, like the favorite one is when people that clearly didn't support what you were doing, or maybe like slightly discouraged it. Say like, "Oh, I knew you're going to be successful the entire time." It's like, really? Like, I don't. That's not how I remember it. Um,
When you have the timestamps on your messages and it's like 2016, like, oh, you're not gonna be able to do this. Then like the next message, 2018, oh, I always knew you had this, bro. And I was like, I can see the timestamps. What do you mean?
that's funny.
I'll probably go. I'll have to see if I have that screenshot. I think that actually happened. I
Uh,
have that screenshot.
I thought you were just saying like as a oh that actually happened. That's
No, I
funny.
actually have that
We'll just
screenshot
see that, yeah, after we finish recording. But, cool. So I mean, before we wrap up, is there anything that you think you want to leave people off with, or how can people find you? How can people connect with you, and how can people learn more about what you're doing?
Yeah, so I mean, if you want to leave the links down below for this on YouTube, that would be easier. On Instagram, it's just the Patrick Corsino because the Patrick Corsino wasn't taken,
Yep.
or Patrick Corsino wasn't available. It was taken.
Yep.
On YouTube, I have two different. One is obviously like the crypto focused one. Then I have the new one, which is more business focused. That's Patrick Corsino on there as well.
Mhm.
Probably easier if we leave the links. But I do want to end off with saying, like, I mean, anybody watching this on, I mean, I don't know what date's coming out, but either way, during quarantine, you're on the right track. Like you're sat down watching a video trying to learn from somebody who at this position maybe has done more than you, or you're trying to like learn something different from. You're doing you're already at a point where you're improving yourself every single day, even during the quarantine. So big congratulations to everybody watching.
Yeah, well said. I'll be sure to leave all Patrick's links in the description, so be sure to go check him out and follow him. He definitely has a lot of good content and a lot of exciting projects coming out in the future. But yeah, that's a great way to end the video. Thanks for coming on, Patrick, and thank you everyone for watching. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Take care.
See ya.